Hello guys, man of Amanda Reviews here, and how are you doing on this beautiful Monday? I'm doing great, by the way. Midterms are just next week for me, so you know, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm not a great liar, am I? Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's roll back to the title of this video, which is what are iframes, and the list of all iframes on all champions in Battlerite. That's a pretty lengthy title that I'll probably kind of cut down into pieces and kind of manage it so it's normal. But anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get on the question, what the hell is an iframe? Now, you may not know what an iframe is, but you've definitely heard the term if you've ever been interested into gaming community, specifically if you ever followed or played Dark Souls. There's a high chance that you ever read a guide, it was filled with iframing shit, and you were always wondering, okay, I'm supposed to frame, but who, how, and how do I get away with it? Okay, now that the bad puns are out of the way, let's actually get serious for a moment. What is iframe? Well, it's a short way of saying invincibility frame. It's that moment in the game where your character becomes invincible to all forms of damage and CC. In Dark Souls, it's rolling. You can avoid all damage, all CC, everything but basically just pressing the space button or whatever the hell it is on a gamepad. Now, in Battlerite, every single champion in the game has at least one invincibility frame. Now you might be asking, okay, but what the hell do I use those invincibility frames for? Well, one specific example, and perhaps the easiest one to demonstrate this on, is when Rook ults you. You're about to die, you don't know what you're doing, you're panicking, and you accidentally press a button and you live. You don't know how, you don't know why. Well, my friend, there's a high chance that you just iframed the entire damage of the Rook's ult. So the point of this video is to kind of point out all the iframes on all champions. And by the way, this is totally just video for noobs, so if you're a veteran, you may as well leave right now and save yourself some very horrifying time. Okay, now that the intro and the definitions and all that crap is out of the way, let's jump right into the iframes. First off, we have Ashka, our most beloved arsonist. God, I love this dude. Look how cute he is. Look at that design, man. Oh my god, I love this dude. Anyway, Ashka has three, technically, iframes. First one is obviously his space button. By the way, if you aren't certain whether the ability is iframe or not, you can go by the general rule: if your HP disappears, it's an iframe. So if you can't see your HP on the screen anymore, it's an iframe. His second iframe is his E, actually. And if you're playing against Croc, you always want to save this E for when he ults you. You can just avoid completely all of the damage by just a simple press of a button. And his last iframe technically is his ult, although you're probably not gonna use it to iframe anything because it's a fucking majestic waste. It is there, so I figured it was worth mentioning. There's also obviously his X space, but that's basically the same thing, so I don't even know what the hell am I mentioning it. So space, E, and his ult. Those are Ashka's three iframes. Let's go on to the next, which is Backhoe, the fat dude. Now Backhoe has a single iframe, which is his space. A single iframe, which is his space. That's it. It has nothing else. His E is an iframe. His respect Q when you can dash is in an iframe. His ult is in an iframe. None of his, well, his X space is an iframe, so I guess he technically has two. Oh god, that sucked. Anyway, so Backhoe has only his space. Next up we have Blossom, everyone's favorite and least favorite hero. God, I love this chick, man. This is one of my mains. I just love playing her. Anyway, Blossom also has just a single iframe, which is her hop. Well, she has two if you go into the Battlerites and you spec double hop. So 1, 2. She has two iframes, but you don't need any iframes for it. You just pop this baby down and it's game over, man. It's just game over. Or just do this. And Jade kills herself by casting ult on you for some reason. Actually, I forgot to mention, she does have second iframe, which is this first cast of her ult. The first time she jumps, that's technically an iframe. I forgot to mention almost. So keep that in mind. So 1, if you respect 2, and ult 3. So Blossom has 3 iframes, but you don't need them. You just pop this baby down and it's GG, man. It's just GG. Next up we have Rook, the unfortunate guy who will suffer because everybody will iframe his ult nowadays. Anyway, Rook has 1, 2 and technically 3 iframes with his ult, but again, you know, you're not gonna be iframing anything with his ult really. So 1 space and second space. His E is in an iframe, his Q is in an iframe, his XQ is in an iframe, so just space and his ult if you know, you're kind of dumb and you want to do that for some reason. Moving on, we have Esmo, the weirdest champion in the game that I love playing but I absolutely suck on. Now he also has 2 iframes on his space, basically 1 cast and second cast. Those are his iframes, and he has nothing else really. You can just pop a shield if you have no iframes, just a shields on damage. You can do arcane barrier, but generally just has 2 iframes, which are his 2 space casts. Next up we have our God of Thunder. Now Freya here, she has technically again 3 iframes. So she has her space, she has her E, and she has her ultimate. So technically, well, she has 4 if you want to include X space. I don't know why I'm even mentioning these are just the same fucking abilities all over again. But anyway, so she has space, she has E, and she has her ult. She is Thunder. I love playing her, but again, I suck at her because I just kind of go into the battle and just die immediately by missing my counter completely. So moving on, we have Eva. Now, Eva, I hate playing this champion, man. I don't know why, but this guy is just so boring for me. I don't know how to play him. I absolutely suck at him, so I don't even play him that much. But anyway, our beloved dude here has 2 iframes. He has space and he has recast space. He has nothing else, just his space. Unfortunately, we have a shield, but just his space is an actual iframe. Moving on, we have Jade. Jade, everyone's favorite hero god. She gets a lot of undeserved hate. I don't know why. I love playing her, especially with double sniping, just standing in the backline until someone jumps me and kills my ass. Anyway, Jade also has just a single iframe, which is a space. Stealth is in an iframe, X stealth is in an iframe, so she just has a space to block the Venom's, the Croak's ult. Moving on, we have Jarmog. I can't remember this guy's name. I don't play him that often, actually. I don't know how to play him. Anyway, he has technically 2 iframes. So first one is obviously his space. Actually, he has 3 then, if you recast space twice. So you go in 3 charges. So 1 iframe, 2 iframe, and he has Prowl, which negates all damage for its duration. But the reason why I didn't... well, I said technically is because your HP doesn't disappear. That's the main crux, so some people might get confused. But yes, Prowl blocks all damage during its duration, but also to cast a space. Moving on, we have this is Alchemist. I don't know her name in this game, but she's the Alchemist. Even she, actually, the least mobile character in the entire game, believe it or not, has an iframe, which is her R. That's unfortunately her only iframe. She's probably the hardest, actually, champion to play in the entire game, alongside Varish perhaps, because she just has that 1 mobility spell, which is her R, who requires energy. So yeah, if you guys main her and you're good at her, you're god. So Alchemist, just 1 iframe, unfortunately. Moving on from our Alchemist, we got to Oldor, the Bombguy, the time Bombguy. Now he has technically again 2 iframes, which is his space and his ult. Actually, you'll probably be using this ult for some iframes, especially if you're highly competitive. I watched a tournament last night, and the support for, I can't remember which team, used this ult quite frequently to avoid Croak's ults, actually. So, remember, space and ult, that's basically it. Moving on, we have Pearl. I finally remember the champion's name. She has, unfortunately, just 1, which is a space. That's really it. You can actually block Croak's ult with the perfect timed counter, but I can't do that. It's way too skilled. It requires way too much skill for me. Basically, what you do is on the last tick, just as the Croak's ult explodes, you press the counter and it goes away. Basically, every champion in this game that has a counter can do that, but I can't pull it off on any of the champions because I absolutely suck ass in this game. Okay, let me just get some coffee real quickly. Yeah, that hit the spot. God, I love talking, but this is way too much. So, Pearl, just her space. Not at the start of the cast, by the way. Note this. There's a slight delay of her iframe, so when she jumps into the ground, that's when the iframe starts. Now, moving on. Even I know this guy's name, but I can't pronounce it, so we're just gonna call him Bombguy. Bombguy also has just a single iframe, which is this. You just infest into someone, or just press space, because that's also technically an iframe. Now he can have two if you go and where is it? Infest into additional target. So 1 and then 2. But this is not an iframe, so basically just a space. That's really it. So moving on from the Bombguy, we got to Paloma. Now Paloma has 2 iframes actually. So she first has a space, that's a first, and then she has the other side. Again, similarly to Jormung's archers or Prowl, you can still see HP, but this is an iframe. You also have obviously the swap X space, which is also an iframe. So remember Paloma 2, other side, and her space ability. So moving on from her, we got the Regen, Pop Stomper. God, everyone is raging on this champ, saying how OP he is. There's one reason why people say he's OP, and I'm going to show you why. So, we have Dummy here that's firing. So what people do is they come and they just keep hitting his parry, and then they're wondering why they're stunned for like 7 seconds. Just don't hit his parry and he's good. Anyway, he has technically 3 again. iframes. First one is obviously his ult when he completely disappears for a few seconds, but again, you're probably using this for damage, not for the actual iframing. You have his space, which is also an iframe, and then you have, if you spec into his E, where are you? There you are. If you spec into the E, his second cast is also iframe, so try to keep that in mind if you play him with dual E casting. Moving on, God, Rook. Yeah, Rook. Now, Rook, believe it or not, actually has an iframe. It's not on any one of his regular abilities, so his space is not an iframe. His Q, again, counter, you can hit it with the last stick, but I suck at it, so I can't do it. But an actual iframe that I can hit is his ult. So as you can see, every time he jumps, there's a brief period of time where he's invincible. Unfortunately, you won't be using this to actually, you know, iframe anything, so he technically doesn't have an iframe. Now moving on, we have the sight dude, Rook, I believe is his name. Now his space, by the way, is not an iframe, so don't mistake that. His space isn't an iframe, but his R is. His R is actually an iframe. So the only iframe he has is actually his R. That's the only way to block Krug's ult. So remember, Rock, the sight guy, R is his only iframe. Now moving to Shifu. Now Shifu is the master of iframes actually. So let's get right on to it. Command spawn. The first one is obviously the counter. Now, every time you press the counter, you disappear for like a split second. In addition, you know, to blocking that final tick, you can also do this if someone hits you during your counter. His second is obviously his space, where he becomes immaterial, so he doesn't take damage. And his third is actually his E. Every time he hits his E, he goes into iframe mode, and you can't do anything to him while he's in flight. Strangely, it doesn't work on his X E, so keep that in mind. So remember, counter, when it gets hit, you have that split second invincibility, space, and his E are all iframes. He probably has the most iframes in the entire game, to be honest. Moving on, we have Sirius, the most serious champion in the entire roster of Battlerite. Now he has obviously his space, and he has his counter, where if someone hits you, you kind of become invincible for 1 second because you're nowhere on the map. So space and his Q, those are the only invincibility frames he actually has. So moving on from our most serious guy, we come to Teeya, the boomerang throwing babe. Now Teeya actually has 2 iframes, believe it or not. First is her R, which throws her into the air, and second is her XQ. So she disappears for a brief second in flight, as you can see. This is an iframe, so she has her R, where she goes invincible, and then she has a XQ, which is shift Q, where she also becomes invincible for a moment. By the way, her ult is not an iframe, so keep that in mind. They can still hit you at any point of your ult, so it's not an iframe. So moving on from Teeya, we come to Thorn, everyone's favorite OP champion. Now Thorn technically has 2 iframes, which is obviously his base and his ult, technically. Generally though, you won't be using these to avoid Croak's ult. And did I just get disconnected or something? I think I have. Oh my god, I just got disconnected, holy shit. And we were down the last 2 heroes. Okay, we're back, we're fucking back, we're just like... But as I was saying, you won't be using your space or your ult to iframe anything, you're just gonna press R on yourself and that's like 50 damage blocked instantaneously. And our last champion is Varish. The guy that I'm trying to learn, but for the life of me I can't play this guy. I absolutely suck with him, it's kind of insane. So he has technically 3 iframes. So his first is obviously his Q, similar to every other champion with vanishing counter. 4 if you respec into double counter. His second one is obviously his R, and his last one is obviously his ult, where he completely disappears and becomes untargetable for as long as you keep hitting that, or 3 times. So that's really it. I think we covered them all, guys. So technically all champions in the game have a counters. What counter? I mean iframe. Oh my god, invincibility frame. So that was really it. Keep those in mind, either if you're, you know, Croak trying to ult, or if Croak is ulting you, or for any other myriad of situations. I'm just using Croak's ult as an example because it's the clearest example out there of what an iframe does, actually. So here we have Brawl, we have double cast space, and every other champion in the game has, again, at least one ability that puts them into invincibility frames for however brief. Rook is the most unfortunate one because his is on the ult, while the Alchemist one is the swift roll, unfortunately. So if you're playing those 2 heroes, good luck, guys. I love you, keep playing them, as long as you're happy, you know, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, guys, that has been Man of Man Reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I hope, you know, that the next time Croak ults you can actually evade that massive damage that he spits on you. And that's really it. So until next time, keep playing Battlerite and keep getting better. See you guys.